Hi Capricorns. So this is the first Capricorn reading for this channel. I think I like this harmonica thing. I see a lot of different people do different things. I haven't seen a harmonica yet, so I'll try that. Do some energetic clearing with some music before the readings. Also, it forces that breath. And what I learned from my yoga teacher training was a lot about breath. And people talk about breath in yoga and how important it is and stuff like that. But on a truly just physiological plane, it helps to decrease your heart rate, decrease your blood pressure if you just take these nice, long, slow, deep breaths. It's just like it literally physiologically calms you. I think that there's absolutely a spiritual element to the breath. Right now is the Gemini moon, which is the lungs, the nervous system. It's nice to take those nice deep breaths to kind of calm down the nervous system. But harnessing the power of our breath, opening up as much space as we can in our lungs, like by having a healthy posture and stuff, it really is tremendous. So I think I'm gonna keep going with this harmonica thing because I think it has the musical benefit, the lungs benefit, and the breath. So this is the first Capricorn reading. I like to do a Celtic cross to really help frame stuff. Otherwise, some readers are great at just having random cards come out or having a plan for themselves and then knowing what they're reading. I really like to have the framing of the Celtic cross because I am still a relatively new tarot reader on my journey. So what's going on for Capricorns? Capricorns are the cardinal earth. Let's get this going. 1. This was 2, 2, 3, 3. When they pop out, I don't want to see them until they really come out. So the Celtic cross frame as well. The cardinal earth, Saturn, self-discipline, self-sufficiency. Let's see what's going on for Capricorn. Okay, so in the present, you have the world in the reverse. So major arcana card. So this framing is really, this reading is really framed by kind of a large universal sort of divine energy that's going on for you at this moment in time. The world is having trouble sort of maybe wrapping up a cycle. Having trouble integrating some sort of experience. You're coming to the end of a journey, but having trouble kind of letting that journey go and transform into the new thing. What's a challenge right now is the Ace of Cups. So this is like an offering of divine love, new creative ideas being offered divine love. But it's interesting because there's a large kind of guilt idea in the Capricorn archetype of sort of like restriction and self-sufficiency and working and grinding it out. And so sometimes maybe feeling like this divine offering of love can actually feel like a challenge sometimes, especially when you're in a period where you're having trouble sort of integrating or wrapping up a cycle. So maybe kind of feeling like you have to punish yourself for not being able to move on and do what you're supposed to do. And so sometimes that divine love offering can feel like actually like a challenging thing. In the above energy, what you're kind of showing people is the Lover's card. So it's a Gemini moon right now. Gemini is the Lover's card. This can really mean kind of like joy and happiness and love and partnership, but also kind of be about really managing your temptation, being in control of your temptations. This can be about choice, making the understanding that we have free will and conscious choice. This is kind of the energy that you're showing the world, that you're really kind of like balancing choice and temptation and free will and things like that. And this is a major arcana card. So again, really kind of framing that you have something big going on for you right now. I mean, this was just really coming up for the Sagittarius archetype as well, which is really beautiful because in the book Cosmos and Psyche by Richard Tarnas that I'm really listening to, I was just finishing up about the Pluto and Saturn aspects in sort of in history and in famous people's charts in the past that Richard Tarnas goes through just exquisitely and highly academically. And moving on to expansion, so it's interesting to see sort of this energy about the Jupiter expansion sort of kind of meld into this Saturn energy, where you have a lot of major arcanas going on. So something big is kind of happening at that kind of like little part of the chart right now, which is really beautiful. But this is kind of the energy that's in your consciousness that you're kind of showing to the world, is this balancing of choice and temptation and a very loving energy for people. What you're experiencing in your subconscious and the below energy is the Magician in reverse, which is actually feeling like you're not necessarily able to make your dreams a reality right now, feeling sort of a lack of energy. Sometimes the Magician card in reverse can be about manipulation, or not really about deception, that would be another card, but really lacking energy, not necessarily feeling like you're able to make your dreams become a reality right now, which I can see sort of with the World card being in the reverse too. Trouble wrapping up a cycle, maybe not necessarily feeling proud of yourself for having trouble wrapping up that cycle, or wanting the cycle to have gone differently or to still be going or something like that, and feeling like a lack of energy, like you're not able to make your dreams become a reality. And it's interesting because your challenge is also matched by kind of this energy of love and Cancer energy, which is Cancer season right now. I will say Cancer season right now, which is the water sign. So like cups and love is, very water associated. And so what you're showing, what you're consciously feeling, what you're showing to the world is kind of about this love, but it's also kind of like your challenge, because sometimes what we're wearing on the face is not necessarily what's going on below. But feeling like a lack of energy subconsciously, like you're not really able to make your dreams a reality. In the past, recent past, you had the Six of Swords in the reverse, which is like really like working to let go of baggage. Let me see this one. So, sorry I put my face in your face. As I said, I'm new on the tarot journey, and sometimes I want to make sure that I'm really interpreting the cards as correctly as I can. If it's a little bit, differently afterwards, it's also just an intuitive experience. There's not like necessarily just one right or wrong thing. So, resisting change, unfinished business, interesting. So in the upright, this is really about releasing baggage and rite of passage, but in the reverse, it's really about a personal transition, resisting a change, and feeling like unfinished business about something. So that's interesting that this feeling of having unfinished business, going through a personal transformation, is interesting because it goes into the world, which shows the world in reverse, which is also kind of like having trouble wrapping up a cycle. So going through a personal transformation, a personal transition, and resistance to change, and feeling like something's not quite wrapped up, and then that's kind of what your present energy is showing now too, but kind of with a major arcana card, so with a more divine energy. So maybe that means you're moving forward on that journey, or you're feeling it a little bit more intense than before. And then in the near future, you have the Eight of Pentacles in the reverse, which I think is just quintessential Capricorn energy. When Capricorns are not feeling like confident in, what their journey is right now, this can be about feeling like misdirected activity around what you're doing, a sense of perfectionism. And so in the upright can really be like skill development, toiling, doing the work. But given, what you're feeling about not necessarily feeling like you're ready to wrap up a cycle, or maybe that you just haven't necessarily wrapped up a cycle fully yet, you're feeling kind of like this perfectionistic attitude about where you feel like you should be, because Capricorns always kind of feel like there is a place that they should be, something they should be doing, and that can really result in sort of self-punishment around things when you're not feeling like you are necessarily where you should be. And this is Earth energy, which is Capricorn. So feeling like your activity is actually kind of like misdirected right now, which really matches your subconscious energy, which is kind of, the lack of energy, misdirected activity, not necessarily feeling like you're making your dreams a reality. In your advice, it is the Tower in the reverse. So kind of a resistance of moving to the next thing. And that can just happen very naturally. But another major arcana card, so something like really big is going on for you right now, and I just hope that you are patient with yourself, Capricorn. The advice is really that, the advice is to allow inner transformation to happen. Allow the tower to fall sometimes, and then whatever comes of that will have to come of it. This is usually not necessarily, the tower is not necessarily like a pretty picture of things. It is sometimes about demolition so that we can get to the higher truth of things, move on to the next part of the journey. And the advice here is, I think, to kind of like let the tower fall, whatever that might mean to you. Keep yourself protected. But if something's happening that you feel like you're resisting, maybe the cycle that's not necessarily getting complete, or resisting some sort of change, it can be helpful to kind of let that change just happen, even if it's difficult to let that occur. The energy that's surrounding you right now is the Three of Cups in the reverse. So the Three Cups in the reverse is sort of like not necessarily feel like releasing a third party situation, not necessarily feeling like you want to get celebratory with your friends, not necessarily feeling like you want to collaborate in love and creativity and things like that, and maybe taking some more personal time for yourself, like not necessarily feeling like you're in a celebratory mood around things. And I think that would definitely make sense with how much of this reading I'm getting that you are having trouble wrapping up a cycle or moving on to the next thing. Maybe it's just not time for that right now, but you're feeling maybe the weight of that, and you're not necessarily feeling like really celebratory about that. A hope and a fear that you have right now is the Strength card in the reverse. So being patience and courage, like having that be like, it's interesting. I feel like Capricorns can be really hard on themselves. They just like work so hard, and they plant the garden. They really plant the garden. So this is really about taming the beast, and having patience with that experience of taming the beast, and not necessarily having to fit, round pegs into square holes, and having courage. And it's the Leo card. It's about having courage, and it's interesting that this is sort of like a hope and a fear, because also your challenge is, divine love. So it's kind of like, I think Capricorn sometimes have a hard time accepting that, like, just that love, that free-spirited, loving side, and that makes a lot of sense with the crystallization and the contraction and the harshness that Capricorn can feel more towards themselves than anybody else, but in that sense of self-discipline. But being afraid, I don't know, not necessarily being afraid of courage, but hoping for the strength and the patience and stuff to get through this and get to the next thing, and to open your heart. Leo card is about the heart and the spine, and to have courage maybe to move on to the next part of the journey. But that can be scary, because when we have courage, it's because we're afraid. And so this can maybe be a good energy for you to try to get into, because I think sometimes, like with our fears, is actually what can help us. And the Strength card in the upright, it just can't be something that's taken. It's hard to take that negatively, even though it can still be perceived in someone's journey as like not necessarily the way to go. But taking that time and that energy to really have patience with the beast, though. They tame it, but not in like a restrictive, punishing way. Like to be friendly to the lion and become its friend, and understand that like the lion was always your friend, but the lion had to trust you too. And so taking that time to, it's okay to move towards that feeling of like Leo loving home, especially when you're feeling these other more stressful energies of having trouble moving to the next thing, especially when Capricorns really want to be moving to, get their resources into play. And really, I see very little here about like moving towards resources. So it's like maybe this is a new journey for you. Is that it's not always about the tangible resources. It's more about spiritual and social and psychological resources that we can get together. And then in the outcome for this current energy, you have the Nine of Wands in the reverse, which is really feeling like overwhelmed, and like you are sort of like you're up against the wall about stuff. So the 9 is before the 10s, and some people say the 9 is a much more interesting energy, because by the 10 you've already made it. Wands are about passionate fire energy, and you're going to feel like stuck up against a wall. Like in the upright, this can mean like showing fortitude, having a little bit of a struggle, having those 9 wands, like carrying them kind of towards the top of the hill, but standing kind of in your strength. And this one is sort of feeling like overwhelmed, like just like a lot is going on, and you're not necessarily feeling like you want to stand in that, like you can stand in the strength, feeling overwhelmed by this by this journey, and like that transition period, it's not always like the journey itself that is the hardest. Sometimes it's like the journey feels like it's the hardest part, but then realizing that it's time for change. You know, it's not a fixed sign, but it's more about new birthing experience, cardinal energy, like Capricorn. And I don't necessarily know that cardinal signs are the most adept at change, because they're not a mutable sign. They're kind of like the, you know, the other end of it even. At least fixed signs don't really want to move much, but they can go in either direction a little bit. But the cardinal sign is like 2 steps away from that mutable energy, and the birth comes right after the tower falls, and right after the integration cycle completes. Right after the baggage is released, then you can be on a new journey. And tomorrow, I think, is the new moon. And so you're just feeling like this is a heavy energy for you right now. But I would say, you know, whatever your hope is and fear is around the strength card is just really bring the strength into what you're doing and let the tower fall. Like whatever's trying to happen right now, just let it happen. And if that means do nothing for a little bit of time to leave some emptiness and space in yourself, to allow grace to come in, then that could be a good idea for now. And moving toward that strength and courage, because it really does take courage to go through all of this, and it's okay to need courage. You know, we are not always strong, and I feel like Capricorns feel like they always do have to carry that strength for themselves and for everybody else. Sometimes just, you know, letting it breathe, really truly let space for other sorts of ideas to come in, and get you through that cycle without making it so arduous. It doesn't always have to be like this self-punishing thing. I'm just going to do 3 because that's the one I wanted to come out. So to help frame this reading, haystack karma, you will reap what you have sown. Beautiful. See, I said Capricorn plants the garden. You will reap what you have sown. You have done a lot of work here. And you're still even going through all this. You're showing people like about love and choice and free will, and you have a divine love like supporting you. And I feel like you're not wanting to let that. It's hard for Capricorns to let that help them, because what's really going on is like some tough energy, but what's supporting you is you know, what's feeling like a challenge is divine love and strength and courage and stuff. But you can let that in sometimes. If you can't actively let it in, then just take a break and see if like it'll come in naturally on its own. You don't always have to be working, moving ahead, working. So you will reap what you have sown. Shark, take care or there will be a loss of material wealth. So this doesn't mean always keep running, but it means, you know, be smart about your finances. Don't overspend, especially if you're in like a hard time right now where you're not sure where the next step is. And don't push anything. Anything we push too hard is something to be wary of, because the universe will push back if it realizes that you're testing it too much, honestly, I think. If you have too specific of an idea about what success and abundance and everything means for you, I think, you know, the universe kind of likes to do an ego check on us, and just like be careful and make sure you're not only focused like on your material wealth, which I think the earth signs can often be doing, and then that can be to the detriment of other things, because anytime you push something too hard in one direction, sometimes the universe just wants to teach you a lesson about letting go. And maybe that's part of what you have. There's some trouble here about like letting something go, which I think is true of everybody. And lovely candle, you will be shown the way. So maybe like just taking some time, keep doing your thing, keep doing what feels meaningful for you. Don't just like sit and do nothing if that doesn't feel good, but like you will be shown the way. And sometimes just letting space and time and doing something that you just enjoy doing can be really helpful in letting that grace come into you. And then grace sometimes answers the question for you without you always striving and struggling so hard, because sometimes that's actually not the answer. And then some prism cards, please, for Capricorn. Some prism cards, please, for Capricorn and what's going on here. I've been liking to do 3. So protection, abundance, and flow. That's nice. I think a couple of these are new for me, the new deck. Protection, abundance. Oh, there's another one. Balance and flow. Okay, cool. So there's 4 cards here. So let's see for protection first. And for black cards. Capricorns protect for sure. The earth protects. The essence of this card is about feeling personally safe and protected as you navigate through life. It asks you to find the delicate balance of pushing yourself through fearful, anxious situations while also feeling secure. This card asks how you can feel protected during those scary situations. Does it mean reaching out to others or just making sure that you are grounded in the present? How can you move forward while feeling safe? So maybe it's that you're not wanting to like move on to this next part of the journey because you don't feel safe there. You like things to be birthed. You're not necessarily as comfortable with mutable and changing energy, perhaps. So protection. And then you got, right here. That delicate balance asks you to find the delicate balance of pushing yourself through fearful, anxious situations while also feeling secure. And you also got the balance card here, which is green, so it's not even like it wasn't even supposed to come out next to it necessarily, it just did. Balance. This card refers to the need to look at areas in your life that may need a little balancing. For example, sometimes outside resources, or sometimes outside, I said resources, but I meant sources. Sometimes outside sources can demand our full attention and allow little time for ourselves. How can you allow for more balance in your life, and what do you need to do to achieve it? So maybe you need to like balance like that working in general for other people and for yourself, and balancing those energies a little bit more. Abundance, which is absolutely, very earth Capricorn affiliated. While this card depicts coins, it's important to remember that abundance can come in many forms like love, friendship, career, and family, not just monetary abundance. This card asks you to recognize and celebrate the abundance that is in your life, along with the deep sense of gratitude that comes along with it. So, be grateful for like what you have like already too, and you can be working harder. You can be working hard for like material resources, but there's also, this love that is feeling like a challenge for you, and you're showing people love, but you're not necessarily feeling that, and you're hopeful for and fearful of this strength, and you're not necessarily feeling like what's around you is like a collaborative, loving, celebratory energy, and so there are many forms that abundance comes in, so let yourself feel like love and nurturance. And if you just need to force yourself to do like nothing for a little while, to just like allow emptiness so something new can come in, that can be the goal too, is not just to be doing all the time, so that you can allow things to come in that wouldn't naturally come in otherwise. And then blue, let's do flow. And right now is the Cancer season. Cancer is the opposition to Capricorn, actually. Water lets it flow, very highly emotional, very nurturing. Blue. And sometimes just letting it flow, taking the time so you can just let things flow. And if you're not naturally a person who can let things flow, like maybe just taking time to stop and do nothing, or just do something that you like, and even when you feel like you should be doing work and working towards resources and abundance and wealth, sometimes just letting it flow can really be the answer. And it doesn't feel comfortable, but it can literally be what the universe is asking of you, and if you're not going to do it, then it might demand it of you. The name aquamarine is derived from the two, lovely, because Aquarius, aquamarine, Aquarius is also Saturn associated like Capricorn. It's also Uranus associated, but both Aquarius and Capricorn do share Saturn. It's derived from two Latin words, aqua and marina, meaning seawater. This card is about going with the flow, changing and adapting to a situation rather than fighting against it. It's important to keep in mind that currents can be very strong, and water always gets to where it wants to go. Slowly carving away stone as it flows by. Capricorn, the earth can really be stone. Carving away stone as it flows by. Let this thought guide you on your journey, and let the water carry you where you need to go. So I think this is the most important message of this reading for sure. You're going across the river, but you're having trouble letting go. You're having trouble finishing up this stage of integration, but you have this Ace of Cups, this divine sense of love and creativity supporting you. You're not feeling like celebratory and stuff, but it's still that Ace of Cups is supporting you, and try not to forget about it. And this tower, like, let the tower fall. Let the cycle complete itself. This is major, big energy to allow happen for you right now. And allow the baggage to release. And then the other things come when they will. But I think this is the biggest message for sure, is let it flow. And let's get a Rumi card. Letting it flow can be really hard for Capricorns, I think. You don't always have to be doing. Okay, this is the first one I saw. I've not seen this one. Celestial Rose of Ma. Really pretty. Let's see, 10. Celestial Rose of Ma. The taste of bitterness becomes sweetness in love. The searching in the dark finds the light of faith revealed in love. Love transforms thistles into jasmine. Love layers heaven and gifts us with wings to soar into mystery. Love transforms our every thought into a desire of the heart. Oh, love, how divine is your luring. Beauty flows from your unseen face. Your very nature is radiant with joy. You manifest vibrant hues in every flower. Your touch dazzles all creation. Every particle is attracted toward you, longing to unite and dwell in you. The Divine Mother offers you her rose, how rich that gift may be. A spiritual gift is on its way to you. It's an offering of sacred love to the soul. Beautiful. So sometimes, what we're being offered as a gift can actually feel like a challenge if that's not what we're used to. That love can lift you beyond what you have known, beyond self-imposed limits. Self-imposed limits are absolutely Capricorn. By the uplifting fragrance of grace, you will begin to think where there's emptiness, there's grace. You will begin to think thoughts you have never dared think before. You will feel moved by life, by its sacredness. It's in a way hitherto elusive to you, elusive. You'll be moved by life, by flow. You will feel ecstasy without apparent cause, and you will feel as though every breath is a seductive caress of the heavenly lover. This is what you're showing. You're showing people love. You're showing that in the conscious energy. You will be open and surrendered in a way you have longed to be, but in a way you've never known quite. Never known quite how to go about. Letting the tower fall, integrating, and letting that cycle complete. This spiritual gift signifies the ending of a period of suffering and the opening up to a time of new opportunity, a flourishing and thriving release of your unique soul fragrance into the world. It is a gift worth having. Your thorn may be the love you need to let go of now, so you are open to your present rather than your haunted past. Allowing love in here. Maybe you're having trouble letting go of the pain of the past also. Your thorn may be the fear that if you grow too vibrant and embrace the magnificence of your being, others will shun you out of jealousy or fear or leave you alone. Your thorn may be a constant need to bargain with life, that you shall take one step provided certain unwanted events don't take place. Shall you take one step provided certain unwanted events don't take place, rather than just accepting it and living it as presented to you and being worried about every step. Your ready for love heart can now be free from expectation and instead be open to life with curiosity and reverence. Whatever your thorns are or have been, be willing to deal with them, to face them, and most importantly, to release them without any shred of doubt, shame, guilt, or recrimination, beloved. That's all Capricorn there. Doubt, shame, guilt, recrimination. Let it fall. Let the tower fall. Can you sense the dew-soft petals and luscious fragrance opening to you now? You're showing the world the lovers. You know how to do it. You just have to feel like that's really who you are, and that's what you have to offer. You are being offered this divine Ace of Cups, this divine love and creativity, but you are having trouble letting it flow because you're a Capricorn. But let it flow. Be the dewdrops on the rose, even if that's not always how you feel, and let the tower fall and let it flow. Okay. Thanks for joining, Capricorn, and good luck with everything.